Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. It's Thursday, February 10th at 11:21. Purdue has just fallen to Michigan at Chrysler in Ann Arbor. They lost 82 to 58. Purdue drops to 21 and 4, 10 and 4 in conference. I don't know that losing a game to me isn't the end of the world. Um, it happens. Losing the fourth conference game isn't really the end of the world either. What is the end of the world is really, if you look at what led up to this, there's a lot of things that point at this game just not being normal, not being real, not making much sense. Purdue was averaging, I think, just shy of 85 points a game. They scored 58 in this game. Purdue had just in the first half when I was on Twitter, I was kind of talking aloud. I'm a person that processes things by talking through them. I said the game had that feel of the IU game in Assembly Hall for a lot of reasons. Because one guy was going off, IU or Michigan's Diabate. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Had like 13 points. He usually scores 8 a game. He was just eating up Purdue. And it's a weird thing, like, it wasn't Dickinson eating up Purdue. Williams started the game because I think Painter thought that he'd handle Dickinson a little bit better. Dickinson had a bum ankle, but it was one Michigan player just doing it time and time again. The interesting thing is Purdue's power forward in that lineup is Gillis. Gillis has been really a stalwart, just been so good, especially for for the Big Ten season specifically. If you watch him, just his motor doesn't stop. He's been excellent. And so as I was talking through that, the fact that Purdue was down and the effort, what didn't look like it was there, and Purdue was getting beaten off the ball. Sasha Stefanovic didn't have his legs under him. He wasn't hitting anything. Ivy was trying to do everything he could. So was Williams. There were two guys there that looked like they were ready, but the rest of the players just looked off, like didn't look right. And so they showed the highlights at the half, and you'd see rolls and pick plays, and Gillis was nowhere in the frame, like not even close. Then I was like, wait a second. Okay, so Gillis isn't a guy that dogs it. He's just not. So then the kind of light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. These guys are just completely toast. They're completely gassed. Purdue is. In the second half, it showed. The dike broke, and Purdue's problems on defense became worse. The fact that they don't guard the three well became a huge problem, and they weren't even getting near the three-point shooter. It was like a 10-foot gap. And I've said it before, college basketball players who are good at shooting, when given an open court, they're going to start hitting threes. And Michigan started hitting threes, and like I said, the gates just opened up, and Purdue was succumbed. Purdue succumbed to the deluge. But the thing that I look at, the big problem I have is Big Ten scheduling. Purdue's schedule was set up normal, 3-day gaps between games, except for this. Michigan has a COVID issue. Michigan has to shuffle their schedule. They put this game a couple days after Purdue plays them at Mackey. And Purdue, the end result is Purdue plays 5 games in 12 days. That's an NBA schedule. It's not a Big Ten schedule. And that's the thing. If you say, okay, sometimes you just got to grind through things, that's fine. If everybody in the league has to do it, that's fine. Nobody else in the league had to do what Purdue just did. And people on Twitter that said this is just, Purdue just wasn't ready. They didn't play a good game. Purdue also, in that same stretch, had the snow game versus Minnesota, where they were delayed out of Minneapolis. Then they got into Indianapolis International, and they had to sleep another night there and do walkthroughs in like ballrooms. These things mount, right? So to have two really weird things happen in a 12-day period, to have kind of the weight of the world down on your shoulder, especially after a big game versus Illinois. Purdue played, great. So they were kind of due for a letdown, but a letdown leads to a loss, for a team that's as good as Purdue, and you lose by 5 or 7 points. You don't get beaten by, 27 points. So you can say, people say burn the tape, don't worry about it. Yeah, burn the tape because this is total bullshit. This one was dealt to them. And it's the second time in 2 years that Michigan has gotten the benefit of a COVID schedule. Please don't forget this, that last year they didn't even play a full schedule and they were awarded the Big Ten championship over Illinois. I'm not an Illinois fan. I've got no dog in that fight. But they gave it to them because the COVID schedule didn't work out for them. This year, Purdue has a 6-day gap at the end of the season, right around the Michigan State game. And they couldn't put this game there because it didn't work out for Michigan. Well, guess what? It's not Purdue's responsibility to clean up Michigan's mess. And they had to. And this is a costly one. Losing is one thing. If it's just one game, that's okay. But the fact that they got their ass kicked because they just weren't the same team is not right at all. And that's on the commissioner's office. And that's on the scheduling office. So it doesn't matter. I don't care about a conference title. I care about the big picture. And I think this will make Purdue mentally tougher. I think this is something that in the long run could be really good for Purdue. Painter can use it, point it back, use whatever he has to. But the fact that Purdue had to play in a set of circumstances that nobody else in the league did for none of their issue is a shame. It's a crying shame. So once again, Purdue it drops the game. They're 21-4, still in great shape. 10-4 in conference. They lose 82-58. Yeah, I'm wound up about this. So if you disagree with me, that's fine. I don't care. I've thought about it. I've got my thoughts settled. I've listened to other people. I don't care. The fact that Purdue has a 6-day gap at the end of the season that they couldn't put this game in, that bothers me maybe more than anything. Because what it means is Michigan had the issue, which I'm not blaming anybody for that. That's not the point. But they had the issue. It's in their program and in their schedule, and Purdue paid for their issue. That sucks. So that's about it. In case you were wondering, feeling a lot better. Had a great day today. Most of the coughing's gone. So first time in 2 weeks I felt great. So too bad tonight's game was not up to par. Let's see. Patrick Pence says they were tired. They were more than tired, Patrick. You're right. They were completely gassed. And like I said, let's use Gillis as the canary in the mine. That guy does not do what he was doing tonight without being completely out of it. And then the fact that Painter didn't put him back in says it wasn't a punishment. I think it was just saying, yeah, you don't have it. You probably see it in his face, right? Let's see. Yeah, they could. Patrick Pence says they could win out the rest of the way, and they could. And that's what I said about when they lost the Rutgers game. I said, what do you do with this, right? I'll say that about every loss for this team. I don't care about the conference title. I care about what the effect of it is on the big picture. And so I'll say it here. What's the effect that this game has on this team? If it kind of galvanizes them, brings them together, teaches them, hey, sometimes you got to be tough. You just got to dig through. Fine. The problem that I have, again, is that these circumstances were completely out of their control. And if it was something that was just like, okay, hey, they had some travel things that came together, like forces of nature, forces of God, that happens sometimes, right? But that's not this either. This was a scheduling issue that the league could have done something about, and they chose not to. That's the freaking rub. You guys don't get to see me this wound up, I think, very often. This makes me freaking mad because it's unjust. That's the problem. Shit. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm all wound up. I probably won't be asleep for another 2 hours. It's 11:30 now. But those are my thoughts on the game. I'm excited. Purdue gets to play Maryland, get the taste out of their mouth. Hope they beat Maryland by a bazillion. I hope they get rolling here. That's about it. So thanks to our sponsors, Gridiron Metalworks, and Martin Vintage and AJ's. Appreciate them. Ron Gable, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Ron and I were on a text thread. Ron and I are buddies away from here, and Ron got to hear a little bit of this via text. And I've just been getting into lather over the past 45 minutes. So anyway. Motor City Boiler, I'm going to explain something to you. This doesn't make sense. To say that Michigan should be just as tired because they played 2 days ago is not the problem. It's the cumulative 12 days and 5 games. That's the problem. I'm not talking about these 2 games. It's the fact that they played all these games in 12 days. The circumstances are not the same. Michigan had 1 fewer game in those 12 days. That's the deal. Not mad at you, but I saw this on Twitter. Somebody else said the same thing. The circumstances are not the same, and it's not Purdue's issue to solve. Goodness. See, this is why I need to get off, because I am very wound up. It's not your fault, Motor City Boiler. Not your fault. Anyway, have a great evening. Have a great morning. God bless you. Hammer down. Talk to you soon. Better times ahead. See ya.